The frozen moon of Erythra 9 never slept. Even when its twin suns set behind the gray mountains, the wind screamed through the empty ice fields like a beast that never grew tired. Inside one small research dome, Dr. Elias Ward worked alone. His workstation hummed softly, lights blinking over rows of frozen data screens. Outside, the storm howled and clawed against the metal walls, but Elias barely noticed. He had grown used to silence. It had been 7 years since the last war. 7 years since his wife and daughter were taken in a city evacuation gone wrong. Since then, he had chosen this lonely outpost, far away from people, far away from memories. He studied alien energy signals, radiation patterns no one else cared about. The rest of the colony called him the ghost in the lab. Elias didn't mind. Ghosts didn't need company until that night. At first he thought it was thunder. But thunder didn't exist here. Then came the blinding flash outside the dome, a streak of fire slicing through the black sky. The alarm screamed. Red lights flashed across his control panel. "Impact detected, southern sector," the system's voice warned. Elias jumped to his feet, heart racing. An impact? Out here, no ship was scheduled for weeks. His breath fogged the inside of his helmet as he grabbed his exosuit and storm lantern. The airlock door hissed open, letting in the roar of the storm. The cold bit through even the reinforced layers of his suit as he stepped into the snow. The world outside was white and violent. The wind nearly pushed him back, but he pressed forward. A trail of smoke rose from the distance, a small glowing wound in the endless ice. Elias followed it. Each step crunched under heavy boots, each gust of wind cutting like knives. After 15 minutes, he reached the crater. Inside it lay a small escape pod, half buried in snow and still smoking. Its metal was scorched black, and one side glowed faintly orange from heat. He wiped the frost off the hatch. The symbols carved into it weren't human. He had seen hundreds of alien markings during his research, but this language was unknown to him. "Great," he muttered. "Either I just found first contact, or my death." He pressed the emergency release. The hatch popped open with a hiss of freezing gas. Inside was darkness and movement. Then he saw her. She was lying against the wall of the pod, barely breathing. Her skin glowed faintly blue under the dim light. A cracked oxygen mask hung loose around her neck. Her suit, if it could be called that, was melted away in patches, exposing her bare shoulders and arms. Her body trembled violently. Her eyes fluttered open, silver gray like liquid metal. She tried to speak but only managed a weak whisper. Elias knelt beside her, his heart pounding. "Hey, can you hear me?" Her lips moved again, slower this time. "Warmth, please." Human warmth. Her voice was soft, frightened, like a child calling in the dark. Elias didn't think. Training and instinct took over. He wrapped her in the thermal blanket from his pack and lifted her carefully. She was light, too light, and her skin was as cold as ice. He hurried back to the dome through the storm, holding her close against his chest. Her trembling didn't stop. At one point, she whispered something else in a strange language that sounded like a song, sad and broken. When they finally reached the airlock, he laid her on the medical cot inside his quarters. The lights flickered, reflecting off her blue skin. Elias quickly checked her vitals, weak pulse, low oxygen, hypothermia. He turned on the room heater to maximum and wrapped more blankets around her. Then he injected a stabilizer and a slow drip IV. She gasped suddenly, her chest rising sharply as if her lungs were burning. Elias leaned forward. "It's okay," he said softly. "You're safe now. Just breathe." Her eyes opened again, focusing on him this time. "You human?" He nodded. "Yes, Dr. Elias Ward, you crashed near my dome. What's your name?" She blinked, confused, as if she had to remember. "Kayla," she said slowly, her voice trembling. "Okay, Kayla, you're going to be fine," Elias replied, though even he wasn't sure if it was true. Over the next few hours, she slept. Elias studied her readings carefully. Her body temperature began to rise. Strangely, the warmth in the room felt different, almost alive, like invisible waves radiating from her body. He ran a scan and froze when the data appeared. Her cells were mimicking human warmth, copying his body temperature exactly, adjusting in real time. "How?" he whispered to himself. "What are you?" When she stirred again, Elias offered her water. She drank slowly, her hands shaking. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I didn't mean to crash. I was running." "Running from what?" Elias asked. Her eyes darted to the window. They will find me. They always find those who escape. Elias frowned. Who are they? But Kayla didn't answer. She pressed a hand to her chest, wincing in pain. The faint blue glow under her skin pulsed faster, like a heartbeat made of light. Elias quickly adjusted her IV. Easy, don't move. You need rest. She looked at him, fear and confusion mixing in her eyes. You help me. Why? Elias paused. He wasn't sure how to answer. Because you're alive, he finally said. That's reason enough. Kayla's expression softened, though tears glimmered in her silver eyes. No one ever says that. Not out there. Hours passed. The storm outside grew worse, lightning flashing across the dome's shields. Elias sat beside her, reading data logs from the pod. Every file was corrupted except one, a brief distress signal in multiple alien languages. The only clear phrase repeated several times. Subject escaped. Retrieve immediately. A cold shiver ran through him. Whoever she was, someone powerful wanted her back. He glanced at Kayla sleeping under the blankets. Her breathing had stabilized, her glow dimmer now but steady. He could see faint scars along her arms like burns or medical markings. Someone had experimented on her. He sighed. What did they do to you? Near dawn the storm calmed. The dome's sensors flickered back to life. Elias stood by the window looking out at the endless white field. He should report this. The colony authorities would demand a full examination, maybe even hand her over to the Central Research Council, but a voice deep inside told him not to. He turned to look at Kayla again. She was awake this time, sitting weakly on the cot. The blanket slipped from her shoulders and she pulled it tighter around herself, shivering. You shouldn't move, Elias said, walking over. I feel better, she whispered. Your warmth. It saved me, he smiled faintly. Guess humans are good for something after all. Her lips curved in a small, fragile smile. But then her face darkened. She looked toward the door. They will come, she said softly. They always come, Elias frowned. Who, Kayla? Who's coming? She met his eyes, her voice suddenly sharp and afraid. The collectors. They do not leave witnesses. Before he could speak, the dome's proximity alarm went off. Red lights flashed across the room. Unidentified ships approaching, the system's voice warned. Kayla's grip tightened on his arm. Her hand was trembling. They found me, she whispered. And they will kill you too. Elias stared at the alarm, then at the terrified alien clutching his sleeve. The isolation he had lived in for years shattered in an instant. The past didn't matter now. The war, the loss, the loneliness all faded beneath one truth. Someone out there was hunting this fragile being who had fallen into his care. He took a deep breath. Then they'll have to go through me first. Outside, in the silent white distance, faint red lights began to pierce through the clouds, ships descending. And inside the small dome, a human and an alien waited together, surrounded by warmth in a world of ice. The red lights on the control panel kept flashing like a heartbeat. Unidentified ships approaching. Distance 900 kilometers, said the calm computer voice. Elias stared at the radar screen. 3 dots blinked steadily, moving fast toward the colony. His chest felt heavy. Whoever these collectors were, they had found her. Kayla sat on the cot, gripping the blanket. Her silver eyes were wide with fear. They never stop, she whispered. Once they mark your energy, they follow across stars. Elias turned off the alarm and knelt beside her. Listen to me. You're safe here. This dome has a signal shield. Nobody can trace you while you're inside. She shook her head slowly. No shield will hide my warmth. They sense life. They sense fear. Her words chilled him. He had seen many alien species during his research years, but nothing like this. Creatures that hunted through emotion itself. That was something new. Elias stood up and walked to his workbench. Then we'll need to find another way, he muttered. His hands moved quickly, checking wires and scanning tools. Kayla watched him, confused. You help me even now? You don't even know what I am. Elias glanced at her and gave a tired smile. You're a person who crashed in the cold. That's enough reason for me. For the next hour, Elias worked nonstop. He adjusted the dome's power grid, rerouted the signal dampeners, and boosted the local shield frequency. The room filled with a soft humming sound, like wind trapped in metal pipes. Kayla sat quietly, studying him. Her body had regained some color, her glow softer now. Every time Elias passed near her, she felt warmth ripple through her body. Not just heat, but something alive. She didn't understand it, but she wanted to. Finally, Elias stopped and wiped sweat from his brow. That should mask the heat signature for a while, he said. But if they land nearby, we're in trouble. Kayla's eyes lowered. You should leave. They won't stop until I am gone. Elias looked at her sharply. And leave you to die? Not happening. She tried to argue, but his voice was firm, the kind that came from years of loss and quiet pain. She saw something in him, a human who had already lost too much to walk away again. A sudden tremor shook the dome. Dust fell from the ceiling. Elias grabbed the nearest monitor. Impact detected. Small drones entering atmosphere, the system announced. Kayla's breathing grew fast. They've released hunters. They scan for organic energy. Then we'll hide your energy, Elias said quickly. Maybe even fake a signal to lead them away. He looked at her readings on the screen. Heart rate, body temperature, radiation pulse. Your warmth, it's stronger when I'm near, right? She nodded shyly. Your body gives it something to copy. My species learns by feeling. Elias had a sudden idea. Then if we can control that warmth, maybe we can trick their scanners. Kayla frowned. You mean hide what I am by feeling less? Exactly. Can you do that? She hesitated. I can try. For the next few minutes, the two sat facing each other across the small lab. The heater was off now to reduce the energy output. The cold slowly crept back in, making their breath visible. Elias kept his tone calm. Close your eyes. Focus on your breathing. Try to match my temperature, nothing more. Kayla closed her eyes, hands resting on her lap. Her breathing slowed. The faint blue light under her skin dimmed. The room grew silent except for the faint hum of machines. The sensors blinked slower, until the monitor showed a single stable temperature, human range. Elias let out a slow sigh. You did it, Kayla opened her eyes. I copied you, she said softly. It feels strange, but peaceful. Outside, the radar screen showed the drones scattering, then moving away from the dome. The disguise was working. Elias smiled faintly. They're losing the signal. You just saved both of us. For the first time since her crash, Kayla smiled, a small, uncertain curve of her lips that made her seem almost human. Later that night, the storm eased. The power returned fully and the lights glowed warmer. Elias heated 2 ration packs, handing one to Kayla. She took it carefully, sniffing it like she wasn't sure it was food. What is this? She asked. Dehydrated stew, Elias replied with a chuckle. Not great, but it keeps you alive. She tasted it and made a face. Your species eats strange things. Elias laughed quietly. We get that a lot. For a moment, they sat together in a rare silence that wasn't filled with fear or machines. It felt normal. Then Kayla spoke again, voice soft. You asked what I was running from. Elias looked at her, setting down his bowl. She stared into the heater light. My people were scientists like you. We studied life across galaxies. One day we found something dangerous. We discovered that some species, humans included, share a spark that no machine can copy. Elias frowned. A spark? Compassion, she said. The power to protect others even when it hurts. The collectors fear it. They destroy any world that shows it. He sat in silence, the weight of her words heavy. So they came for you because you tried to protect someone? Kayla nodded slowly. I freed the test subjects. Many died, I escaped. And they want to erase the evidence. Elias felt anger rise in his chest. He had seen humanity's wars, the cruelty of power. But this, destroying compassion itself, was something he couldn't accept. He stood and walked to the window. Then we're not going to let them erase anything. Kayla looked at him curiously. You would fight them? Elias smiled without turning around. I'm human. We fight impossible things all the time. The next morning, Elias was already working on a plan. Using parts from Kayla's damaged escape pod, he tried building a small transmitter. If we send a fake energy pulse far from the colony, we can draw them away, he explained. Kayla helped him, her delicate hands moving over alien circuits. You understand our tech quickly, she said. He shrugged. Good at puzzles. Terrible at people, she tilted her head. I think you are better at people than you believe. He froze for a second, surprised by her words, then smiled faintly and kept working. Hours later, the device was ready. Elias placed it near the airlock. It pulsed with a faint blue glow, the same energy Kayla's body emitted. Once I activate this, the drones will follow the signal west, he said. That should give us a few days before they return. Kayla touched his hand gently. They will not stop, Elias. You must tell your colony. He shook his head. The governor would hand you over to save himself. They always do. Her silver eyes met his. You trust no one? I used to, he said quietly. Until they stopped trusting me. Kayla didn't ask more. She simply held his gaze for a moment longer, then looked away. When he turned the transmitter on, the dome's lights flickered. Outside, the drones shifted direction, flying toward the false energy reading. Elias exhaled. It's working. But before he could relax, the main screen lit up with a warning. Incoming communication, human colonial command. He froze. The governor's voice came through, sharp and cold. Dr. Ward, we've detected strange energy spikes near your lab. Are you hiding something? Elias hesitated. Just research experiments, sir. Nothing unusual. Cut the lies, Ward, the governor snapped. A ship was seen crashing near your sector last night. You are to report immediately and surrender any foreign life forms. Elias's eyes darted toward Kayla. She was standing quietly, fear flashing in her eyes. I'll send a report soon, Elias said quickly, cutting the transmission. Kayla whispered, They know. Elias nodded grimly. Then we move fast. I won't let them take you. That night, while preparing to move Kayla to a hidden cave outside the colony, Elias made one more discovery. Her DNA scan showed something shocking. A strand of human genetic code mixed into her sequence. He stared at the screen in disbelief. That's impossible. Kayla saw his expression and asked softly, What is it? Elias turned to her, his voice barely above a whisper. You're part human, Ayla froze. Human, but that can't be. My people never came to your world. Elias looked into her glowing eyes. Then maybe humanity came to yours. For a long moment, neither spoke. Outside, the storm had returned, shaking the dome walls. But inside, a strange understanding grew between them. She wasn't just an alien. She was living proof that humanity's story stretched farther than anyone had ever known. And Elias knew one thing for certain now. If the collectors wanted her erased, then what she carried inside her was more important than either of them had realized. He looked out into the storm and whispered, They're not taking you, not while I'm still breathing. The storm outside raged like a wild animal, but inside the dome, Elias and Kayla were calm, focused. The red radar dots had disappeared for now, tricked by the fake transmitter he had activated, but the threat was far from over. We need to move, Elias said, voice firm. If the collectors land, hiding won't be enough. We must give them a reason to leave or fight. Kayla nodded. I can help, she said softly. My energy. It can protect, but only a little. Not against their full fleet. He studied her. The faint blue glow under her skin pulsed stronger when she spoke. Then we combine your power with mine. Whatever we build, shield, trap, whatever, it must last until help comes. Kayla looked worried. Help? Elias shook his head. The colony won't help. But humanity will, once they know you exist. Her silver eyes widened. You will tell them? He nodded. Yes, but first we survive the night. They worked together in silence. Using fragments of Kayla's escape pod, Elias fashioned a compact energy generator, then wired it into the dome's shielding system. Every wire, every panel hummed with potential. Kayla placed her hands on the generator, her glow pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. You're pushing yourself too hard, Elias warned. I can hold it, she whispered, but not for long. You must use it wisely. Hours passed. The wind outside howled, battering the dome, but inside the generator glowed steadily. Kayla's energy intertwined with the dome's shields, creating a protective field stronger than anything Elias had seen. When she collapsed against the wall, drained, he caught her. Rest, you've done enough, she smiled faintly. Not enough. They will return. Dawn came slowly, gray and cold. The radar picked up movement in the distance, ships sleek and black gliding through the clouds. The collectors were back. Elias's mind raced. There were too many, too fast. The dome alone couldn't hold them. He glanced at Kayla. We have one chance. She understood immediately. Then we end it here, together, he nodded. Together. As the ships descended, Elias activated a transmitter built from Kayla's DNA data. It would broadcast her genetic signature across the colony, and beyond to every human outpost in nearby systems. "This will tell them you exist," he said. "No one can claim humanity is alone anymore." Kayla's silver eyes glimmered. "Then I trust you." The dome's shields began to hum louder, resonating with Kayla's energy. Outside, the first drones struck, bouncing off the invisible barrier. Sparks flew. Metal groaned. Elias held his ground. "Keep the field steady," he instructed. "I'm going to the transmitter." Kayla nodded and placed both hands on the generator. Her glow intensified, spreading warmth across the room. Elias dashed to the transmitter, typing commands as alarms blared. "Almost there. Just a few more seconds," he muttered. Suddenly, one of the drones broke through the outer barrier, sliding across the floor with mechanical claws extended. Elias raised a pulse blaster from his lab supplies and fired. Sparks flew, but more drones approached. Kyla cried out, her voice trembling. "Elias, too many!" He looked back and saw the glow from her body expand, forming a protective dome of energy around her. The drones could not get through. "It's working!" He shouted. The transmitter beeped, signal sent. Across Erythra 9, every human outpost received the genetic proof of Kayla's existence. For the first time, humans beyond the frozen moon knew they were not alone, and that life worth protecting existed beyond their understanding. The collectors hovered, scanning, confused by the sudden surge of signals. Elias knew they were calculating, deciding if the attack was worth the cost. But Kayla's energy now merged with the dome, stronger than their instruments could read. She gasped, fatigue written clearly across her features. "I cannot hold much longer," she whispered. Elias ran to her side. "Then let me carry you." "No," she said, shaking her head. "If I leave, the shield fails. You must survive to warn them. Humanity must know my life. It is enough if it saves yours." He gripped her hand, tears in his eyes. "I won't let you do this alone." Her glow pulsed one last time, stronger than ever, and then it began to spread outward from her, touching every corner of the dome. The collectors tried to penetrate it, but their scanners failed. One by one, their ships pulled back, unable to understand the new energy field surrounding the colony. Kayla collapsed, her energy fading, but her face held a calm serenity. "You saved them," she whispered. "You showed human warmth." Elias held her close. "No," he said. "We did this together." Hours later, when the last drones retreated, Elias carried Kayla to the medical cot. Her body was weak, but she smiled faintly. "Your warmth," she murmured. "It stayed with me." He smiled, voice hoarse from shouting and fear. "And your courage will stay with humanity. They will know your story." Her silver eyes flickered, a soft glow remaining. "Then I am not alone," she whispered. Elias nodded. "No one is alone, Kayla. Not anymore." The next day, the colony authorities arrived, scanning the dome. Elias stood firm, showing them the transmitter logs and data streams. Proof of Kayla's existence and her genetic link to humanity left no room for doubt. The governor frowned. "You hid her from us." "I saved her from being destroyed," Elias replied. "That is what humanity does. Protect those who cannot protect themselves." The governor hesitated. The Human Council had been receiving Kayla's signal for hours now. Their view of humanity, alone, fragile, and isolated, was changing. Humanity was no longer just survivors. Humanity could stand for life no matter where it came from. Kayla, weak but alive, watched silently. The warmth from her body was steady now, comfortable. She looked at Elias and whispered, "You showed me what it means to be human." Elias smiled, taking her hand. "And you reminded me that even in the coldest night, compassion is the greatest strength we have." Weeks later, Kayla recovered fully. She learned human language quickly, helped the colony repair the pod, and shared knowledge of her people's technology. Slowly, humans began to understand that life beyond their system was not something to fear. It was something to protect. Elias and Kayla often sat together in his lab, not speaking much but understanding each other completely. The warmth between them was no longer just physical. It was something deeper, a connection born of survival, trust, and shared courage. The humans of Erythra 9 began to see her not as alien, not as other, but as one of them, a bridge to the stars. Proof that humanity could inspire hope even in the darkest places. One night, Elias stood by the dome's observation window, watching the two suns set behind icy peaks. Kayla joined him silently, her body glowing faintly in rhythm with his heartbeat. She came begging for warmth, he said softly, and gave humanity something greater than fear. She gave hope, Kayla smiled. And you showed me what it truly means to be human. Warmth is not just heat. It is courage, it is care, it is standing for what is right. Elias nodded. Yes, that is the warmth that will never fade. Outside, the stars sparkled like silver fire. The collectors would think twice before returning, for they had seen the strength of human compassion, an unstoppable force, even in a frozen moon far from home. And inside the dome, a human and an alien shared a quiet warmth, proof that life, courage, and connection could survive even the coldest night.